When I was really tiny, my parents had a diamond ring that they put on my hand and tied it on with a ribbon, and I always wore pink, either silk or lace dresses and the little Mary Janes. And they kept me that way as long as they possibly could. I was to behave as a lady at all times, but I should be striving to be President of the United States at the same time. They wanted me to somehow be able to balance those two things. And society and that age group didn't really accept me very well because I could portray the princess on the pea, but I was doing everything that the boys did, and I was always a high risk taker, and I had my mindset when I was in the 4th grade that I was going to be a doctor, and I was writing away for catalogs to schools, and I had already set my mind what I was going to do. But I was constantly in that conflict of having to be a lady and then knowing I wanted a career.
So what do you mean by being a lady?
Things like ladies are not allowed to say certain things, ladies are not allowed to go certain places, ladies are only permitted to sit in one position and never another, like crossing my legs now. Oh no, ladies do not do that. That's totally inappropriate. So I had to learn how to sit with my ankles crossed and be demure and, use my inside voice. And I always had to present as though I were a porcelain doll. It's not even the same planet as how I grew up and how the world was. When I was in college, there was no such thing as birth control. It didn't exist. After the first couple of years, it started becoming available, but you had to be married and you had to have a letter from your husband and from your clergy to be able to acquire it. There were a lot of things after I got out of school that I had to sign a pregnancy clause for my first job, and that if I were to get pregnant while I was employed, it was automatic cause for being fired. One job I had to go into my boss's office just like I did back in preschool or in elementary school and kneel on the floor to show where my skirt hit the floor, because if it didn't, I'd have to go home and change my clothes. And this is in the 70s. I wasn't allowed to have credit of any kind without my husband signing for things, which is one of the reasons I got married, was because as a single woman, I was powerless. I had nothing. I wasn't allowed to have my own car, nothing. It had to all be under his approval. And so I have a very hard time, and I tend to get a lot of criticism because I'm really vocal about this with the younger girls. And it's, why in the hell are you having these babies when you have birth control available? Why in the hell are you doing this when you have all this available to you? And you're throwing it all away, and I fought so hard to have these things, and you guys have it given to you and you don't want it. It makes me crazy. Makes me absolutely crazy. I don't know how many fights I've gotten into with young women when I used to advise women in my job. I got fired because I would tell them exactly where they needed to go because they were so stupid. I don't like women very well because of it, because they are stupid. I know I shouldn't be saying that in front of two smart women, but they are. And as a general rule, women are stupid. They think the world revolves having a man, and it's dumb, because that's the way I was raised, and no. All the males in my life have always been extremely proud of me and always very supportive of every choice I've ever made. In fact, I can remember when I was in 8th or 9th grade, there was a girl that came over to our house for dinner, and my father said to her, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And she said, "Well, I want to be a stewardess." And he asked her why, and she says, "Because I want to marry a pilot." And my father said, "Why don't you want to be the pilot?" And that, that's been kind of the way I was raised. If you see something you want to do, that's why I went to school so much, because I would see things and I go, oh, I can do that. And I would just go to school. I grew up not knowing that college was an option. I thought that's the normal progression in life, because I'd never known anybody that didn't go to college. So that was a very big shock to me as an adult, to meet somebody that never went to college. I was like, how did you grow up? How did you get out of your house without going to college? It boggled my mind. But when I worked in Illinois, I started out doing engineering design, and I hadn't really gone to school to be an engineer, but that's where I kind of evolved myself into, and then doing all kinds of construction and doing all my jobs have been primarily male jobs, out in the field doing heavy hard construction and things like that. So I used to have problems with other women at work who were in the clerical avenue of work. They used to resent me because I made more money than they did. And I was like, well, nobody told you that you couldn't go to school and learn these things so that you could have the same job I have, so don't complain to me about that. Nobody told you you couldn't do it. And it would be, a lot of wives complained to me because I've spent so much time with their husbands at work. I was like, that one is still kind of hard for me to wrap my head around. But I've always had a lot of resentment from women about my career choices. Always. I have to honestly say this is the first time in my life where I've liked myself at other points in my life, but now I really love who I am. I'm comfortable with the wrinkles and the scars and all of it. I look in the mirror in the morning and I go, God, look at you, you're still here, But my mother had warned me about it, and I didn't think it was real until it's happened to me. Out in public, a person my age, particularly women, become invisible. You can go to a restaurant and you'll be sitting there with another woman your own age, and you'll see a table of men that are the same age. The waitresses will pay all the attention, do all the service for the men, and you have to constantly be saying to the waitress, could I have some help, please? Do you see me here? Or people will literally walk right through you and knock you down. They don't even see that you're there. And the older you get as a woman, the more prominent that becomes. You just become invisible. My neighbor lady's 2 years older than I am, and she has it happen to her all the time, and you just want to scream, I'm still here. I still have things to give to this world. Don't throw me away. And I don't know whether men have it happen as much. I don't think they do. I think they're more considered to be, oh, aren't they cute? But women, not so much. Take advantage of every opportunity that comes along your way and never say no to yourself. Believe that you can do it, and even if you can't, you owe it yourself to try. Always try. Don't stand in the background and expect somebody else to do it for you, or to say, there are things I regret not doing. And I can remember my mother, when she was dying, she said to me, I've waited all these years to do the things I wanted to do, and now I'm dying. And she said, don't let that happen to you. She said, anything that comes across your path, you jump on it. And that was 20 years ago, and I've never forgotten it. And, I look at, every morning I wake up and look in the mirror and I'm like, well, what are we going to do today? What are you going to learn today? Who are you going to meet today? And every day is a new adventure. And I'm doing things with my life now that I never would have imagined before. Just because I'm comfortable with who I am, and I know I can do anything I set my mind to. I believed it before, but I wasn't as sure as I am now. Because now I can look back and see the trail that I've been down, and I'm like, damn, how the hell did you get out of that mess, But I did it. So I know there's nothing I can't do. I had always been active in going to gyms, the Y, and that sort of thing, but I decided I wanted to do some strength training, so I started going to this place and working with this guy doing strength training. And he was a boxing coach, and he kept saying, you really need to come to my class. You really need to come to my class. And I would go and stand outside the room and kind of gawk at him, you know. And I'm looking at all these people in there in their early 20s, mid-20s, and I'm thinking, there is no way I can do that. And one day he just came out and he just grabbed me by the arm. He said, get in this room. And I got in there and he put gloves on me, and the next thing I know, I'm like, oh my God, I love this. This is so much fun. So I've been at that for about almost 4 years now, and then I ended up meeting some people that have an MMA gym, and I started going there to work out, and you know, I'm in there beating up the boys. And it's so much fun. It is a blast. You know, sometimes I'm in the class and we have a couple kids in there that they're early college years, like 18, 19. And they'll be going, oh God, I'm so tired, I can't do this. And my coach will go, she's 65, get your little ass in gear. She's way ahead of you, you know. It's something, you know, they're like, you're that old. You know, I'm like, yeah, you know, you might learn something, kid, you know.
Yeah.